Hello. So I thought that it might be nice to do a sort of stitch along. As a natural dyer, I've got lots of scraps of fabric, and I quite like these ones. I think this is Coreopsis, dyed with soya mordant, soya milk mordant, and this is an indigo, quite a light indigo, but I think they go quite well together. So I thought, in the spirit of friendship, we'll do a friendship star, and it might be nice to, as the winter comes in and we're thinking about things that we can do indoors. And it's all coming to Christmas time, isn't it? The winter solstice. So yeah, I just thought it might be a nice thing to do is to all of us do a friendship star or two and see whatever comes with it. I have naturally dyed fabrics here, but you could use any scraps, and it's a way not only of slow stitching but using up little bits and making them into something positive. So yeah, I thought it's quite a simple little patchwork. I'm not a patchwork aficionado, but I have done some patchwork in my day, and yeah, let's have a look. So you don't need much, and I'm not too bothered about exact sizes. I'm just going to intuitively just do some stitching. So we need, this is what, about 1.5 inches. So I'll start with that and we'll see how it goes from there. So you need 2 colours or 2 different fabrics, and we need little squares cut. So I'm just going to give this a little bit of a trim here, and I like to rip my fabric if I can. It will, yeah, there we go. So there's a nice little square, so we'll use that as our standard size. You want to always use just one, because if you start to say use that one now as a template for the next one, you might have cut them wrong, so you want to always use the first one as you're starting. So there we go. Oh, this is just going to work out fine, actually. So oh, there we go. Friendship star is really made up of triangles. That's not far off. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. But stitching on the bias, things are about to stretch out of proportion, so you really just want to, there we go, that fits fine, stitch them before you cut them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line between the 2 corners. Now you can do this with a chalk or a marker pen. I'm just going to see if this pencil works. Yeah, look, there we go. So you need 2 squares of 2 colours. I'm not even bothered about which way's the grain. I'm just going to do them across the way, like that. And any straight edge would do. And like I say, if you've got some tailor's chalk or one of those blue pens that wash off, that would do fine. So there we go. It's not perfect, but it doesn't matter, because these are going to be our cut lines. And what we're going to do now is just hand stitch the same distance both sides, and then cut up the middle. So we'll do that. I've just got normal sewing thread. I think this is actually overlocking thread, and maybe my needle's a bit too big, but it's just the first one that I had to hand, so we'll give it a go, and hopefully it won't make too many holes in. There we go. Tie a bit of a knot and do a bit of a back stitch. So we're wanting just maybe, what, 1/4 inch up from, and what I'm actually going to do is pin these. You don't have to, but it just kind of stops them skipping about all over the place. So a pin there and a pin here, and I'll do that with this one as well, and it'll just be that little bit easier to control. Now I guess these can go on the front of notelets if you're sending old-fashioned through the post cards to people, or you could make them into pin cushions or with some decorations. So all I'm going to do is I've got a knot on the end of my thread, but I'll do a bit of a back stitch, and I'm just trying to be, oh, see, these holes are just, this needle's probably a bit too bigger than it needs to be, but hey ho. To the end, and we'll just do a wee back stitch. And then just a simple running stitch, quite small as you can get it, and try and keep it in line. And with this kind of needle I can probably get best part of all the way across. And it's just so slow and meditative and taking your time, and yeah, it's just a nice thing to do. That should do. I pull a tug. I mean, it isn't going to be used as a garment or anything, so it doesn't really matter that it's just hand stitched. And I'm just going to give it a bit of a back stitch here as well. So that's one done already. Now you don't want to, oh, I've got a knot here. There we go. You don't want to continue this up here because you're going to cut the line anyway, and you don't want it fraying. So, oh, come on. You could use beloved old garments. I've made these over the years with shirts of people that have passed, and using just a little bit as a memento. So again, I'm just about that size all across, and we'll do a wee back stitch first, and then we'll just, yeah, it's roughly about the same. Keep it as even as you can. For these little things it doesn't matter too much. You can be precise if you want to, and you can use a sewing machine if you've got one to hand, but I quite like sewing by a slow stitch, especially little things like this, and things that kind of mean a bit more. Oh, threads come out of my needle. But we've all got bits of fabric lying about, so why not turn them into something positive? You could do this in denim, you could do this in anything, any old piece of clothing that you've got some good memories of wearing, but it's no longer fit for purpose. You could always just turn it into something else. So there you go, there's my first one done. And it is a bit wibbly wobbly, but it's not too bad. There we go. So we want to repeat the same on this other one. Again, I'm just going to put a bit of a knot in the end and try and keep it the same kind of distance, so the squares in the end will turn out roughly about the same size. But it doesn't matter if it's not perfect, because what in life is perfect, really? And just breathe and be engrossed in the moment of stitching, and let the rest of the world and your worries just float away. And the last one, I've got enough thread here to do it. back stitch, and then just a running stitch, and that'll be enough to hold it in place. Pin's getting in the way. I like this colour combination. I think the Coreopsis had a little bit of iron in it as well, and that's why it's a bit not so orange as it possibly could be. But there you go. That's it. Just put that on there for just now. And let's have a wee look. Take the pins out and then cut along your drawn line. And I like to finger press them, but you can use an iron if you want, and I also, maybe not all patch work should be done like this, but for me I kind of like to open up those seams and just finger press it in place. And you will find that you've got little bits here that you just need to trim off. There we go. So there's an easy way of making two triangles sewn together to make a square without it being stretched along the cross, the biased, shall we say. I'll just nip these wee triangles off the top and the bottom. Some people fold their seams to the darker cloth. That's going to be lovely, isn't it? But I like to open them up. And I'm really not bothered if it's exactly matching seams when I sew it all together, but we'll try our best and hopefully it'll turn out nice. I'm sure there's much more accomplished patchworkers out there, but it's nice, just something simple that we can all get involved in. It's a bit smaller than that one, isn't it? Never mind. We'll use the smallest one as our template, I think. And finger pressing is enough, really. This way you really are connected to the making of the stitching. There we go. So there we go. Move these wee bits out of the way. So you've got 4 simple little squares that is going to make up this. And I think you can either have the brown, the Coreopsis on a blue background, or you can have a blue star on a Coreopsis background. But I quite like the idea of it being quite a star colour. So taking the smallest one, which is this one, put these out the way, and it's not exactly a square. Well, it's not far off. We can make that work. You need 1 square of this, so it's right there. And it's slightly a bit wide, so I'll just trim this with the scissors rather than cut it, try and rip it. So that's our centre block, and then that will add on there. And this one, you don't want the blue going the same way, you want it going the diagonal. You don't want to go in the same way, you want it a 90-degree turn. Yep. And then again, when we go round, want a 90-degree turn. You can see that the star is starting to form. And again, which way is it? Not the same as that, opposite to that. Which is that? Yeah, there you go, there's the wee star. So we need blue to fill in these corners as well. So I'm going to, where was the one that I was going to use? Is it that one is the template? We'll use this as a template now. And we'll cut 4 more. We might get away with just 2 snips this way. And then will we get, we'll get at least 2. We'll get 2 here. This is our template again. So if it's not exact square, oh, look at that, not far off at all. Let's rip it up. Let's just cut it. The same. Yeah, slightly elongated, aren't they? It down slightly. So I'm not exact. I mean, I do have one of those, what do they call them? Die cutting machines. So I could do these as perfect squares, but that takes away from the joy of slow stitching, really. For me, anyway. Right, so that goes in the middle, and then we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And there we go, there's our wee star. So the way that I do it is I'll sew this one to here, and then this one to here, and then repeat that, and then join that 3 to that 3, and then that 3. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And how quick and easy is this, really? We've all got half an hour or so to fill our time with something mindful. And I'm only using the thread single as well. Oh, come on. There we go. So it'll be lovely to see what other people do, and that's the whole point of it. It's a community thing. So I'm actually going to sew on this side so I can sew that seam down, and I'll do a wee back stitch, and I try and use the same seam allowance if you can. I've got a knot in my thread, so that doesn't help. You'll intuitively just take the same seam allowance. I hope you're seeing this okay. Not that it's got a right angle there, haven't I? There we go. I think my thread's too long. That's what it is. And a wee back stitch here. So it's only a couple of stitches, really. It's that same knot. I'll just do another back stitch. get it right. I'm going to just finger open that as well. There's going to be a bit of a bulk there. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it, if we need to. Because this is quite a lightweight fabric, so yeah. And then just to make sure this one goes there. And again, I'll just give it a sewing on the back. Put a knot in the end of it. I'm going to break that knot off. Relatively straight, but if there's a wee bit out, then you can adjust it now, can't you? I'm trying to take the same kind of seam allowance so it all becomes as uniform as it can be. And I suppose you could do this with children, your own or grandchildren, or it's a good way to start to get people, well, stitching. So there's loads of different ways. You can probably hear the rain on the roof in the studio. And again, just ever so gently. Press it, finger press it flat. So we're working on relatively small little pieces. I'm sure they'll come out nice in the end. There we go. Yeah, I'm a bit screw whiffy, but I don't mind that. So that's the first one done, and then we'll do the second one, which is two made triangle squares and solid. Too. And it's just nice to appreciate the cloth and the memories that go with it. There we go. I'm just hoping that I've done it all the right way. Yeah, I have. And then this one was that way. Yeah. So I'll put that there. And hopefully, oh, I've got it all kerfuffled now. That's the way. We can hopefully get the same seam allowances so that it actually does, the points maybe will match up. We'll see. It will come out what it comes out. Stitch there. Lo and behold, it's not too far off. I can live with that. Now you could make two of these and put them together and make a wee pin cushion for yourself, because it's always good to have a homemade pinkish. That's not bad. I'm okay with that. So last one, which is that way. Let's see if there's one side that's a bit longer than the other. This is obviously a bigger square. And you can pin them if you want, but they're only little and they don't stretch too much. So we'll just do this. Like I say, I'm not a professional patchworker, quilter, but it's just a nice little exercise to. It'd be nice with children's clothes because they grow out of them so quickly, and you've got a special one that you remember when they were little. That's always good to do as well. I'll just finger press it. Pop it down just to make sure that we're all still good. Yeah. And this last one. How quick was that? Not to put in the end of this. So I really would like you to share your little patchworks. So I don't know how we'll do that. Instagram, Facebook, something like that. Tag me or whatever it is. There's some Fibre Shed WhatsApp groups, they're good. And it just, yeah, builds a wee bit of a community, something nice that we can all do together. Reusing our scraps or our garments that are no longer used. Right, let's see how we do now. Put it all together once I've opened this one up. I'm hoping that you can actually hear me. So here we are. Yeah, they're a bit fragile in places, but like I say, it's not actually going to be used or have any strain on it. So, and now what we're doing is just putting that one over onto there. Now again, you can line these up as best you can and put a wee pin through the seams. But you don't have to. I think I'll do it. Hopefully. Just a wee bit fiddly. Maybe not perfect, but it doesn't really matter. So now we've got to stitch all the way along there. Have I got enough on here? Yeah, I do. All the way through. I'm going to get a longer bit of thread. And I'll probably do a wee back stitch here. And is that going to go through the seams? Yeah. And you can stitch down the actual seam allowance as you go. With a finer needle, I would probably have done finer stitching and more of them, so that might secure it a bit better. But this is the first needle that came to hand, because I've got absolutely no idea where my pin cushion is. But this is good. This works. Back stitch there, and I should have enough thread on my needle for the last one. These spins out, and it goes that way. Try again to get them as to line up if they can. See my sewing, my book could have been a bit tighter maybe, but there we go. And oh, we might be in luck here. We might just well be in luck. There's enough thread. My granny was a seamstress or tailoress. Oh, she was an actual time-served tailoress, and she showed me how to knot my thread. I'm actually going to do it from this side because, yeah, there's more going on. I need to look out for. Back stitch to start. So my handle, as they call it on social media, is Bulgarvi Weaving. So that's where you could tag me, either on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, or I'm on Substack as well, if anybody's on that. Whichever you prefer, but it would be really nice to see yours, because that's what it's all about. There's a bit of a sklutter here the way I've pinned it, but that should work. And then that's there, and it nearly meets all the way to the end. But like I say, I'm not that bothered. And it'd be really nice to see how far this goes, who gets involved with a midwinter solstice Christmas friendship star. And that's that done. Let's take out the pins. Oh, take out the pins. And yeah, so my gran taught me how to sew, so it would be, in fact, I'm not going to even bother with these. So it'd be nice that other people would pass it on to grandchildren, because if they don't learn from you, they're probably not going to learn, and it's a skill that needs to be passed on. That's not too bad. Look, they're not too bad. Oh, I'm not embarrassed at this little thing. Now, you can embellish this, of course, which would be quite nice as well to see. You could do a line of stitching to keep these open, and it would just enhance, or you could do radiations from it, or yeah, make it your own. French knots, chain stitch, but there you go, a friendship star. Thanks for watching. So I'd just like to give you a little update. After I stopped the last video, I just started, I fell in love with this little block. So I found a scrap of linen and put it on the back. I actually sewed it right sides together and then turned it out. Then I found my pincushion. It was right under my nose as well. And I found a cone of, I'm a weaver, so I've got yarn around. And this is lovely silk that I had lying about in the weave shed. So it'd be nicer if it had been dyed with maybe some indigo or something. But actually I quite like the white. So yeah, I turned it out and then just did some running stitch around the outside, and outlined the star as well. But you could do lots of other things on here or inside, or and I thought, well, that's actually a nice little coaster size, so you could put a mug on. I'm not bothered that it hasn't come out exactly square. And I used to do a bit of commuting. I used to work for the NHS, part of the occupational therapy team, and I did a bit of commuting around Fife, and this would have been lovely to sit a wee project to just have in your bag and pick up and do a wee bit of stitching. Ideal for me, just a wee a spare hour, and it'd be really good for teachers to do with children. There's all sorts of things went through my head, and you could maybe do 4 and put them together, or you could make the blocks themselves larger and have a pot holder, because that's actually thick enough that you could or you could even quilt it, put something in the middle, and a bit of old blanket or something, fleece or something in there that you could use in the kitchen, and yeah, make it utilitarian, because I always like a use for it. But other way, you could have just backed it and not put the raw edges in, and that would have been really pretty as well. So yeah, I've fallen in love with this. I might do some more. So I'd love to see what you do. Yeah, so thanks for watching. Bye bye.